The Ambassador Bridge opened in 1929, containing 21,000 tons of steel. It's become the busiest international border crossing in North America. 1 year later, the opening of the Windsor Tunnel, giving drivers another option to cross to the Detroit River, getting to and from Canada. We're all familiar with these landmarks, but did we know where they were made possible to the incredible engineering of one man? Cornelius Henderson was a pioneering civil engineer whose work crossed boundaries while he broke barriers. Fox 2's photojournalist James Jackson brings us his story.
How did you come to find out about your granddad?
I knew him all my life. Cornelius L. Henderson.
My great-great-grandfather was one of the first engineering graduates at the University of Michigan. I knew that based upon the time period that he was there had to be some significant challenges in order for him to accomplish the things that he did.
My grandfather graduated from the University of Michigan in 1911. He was kind of ostracized. He was the only black in engineering class, and he had to study on his own. And much of the information he had to accumulate on his own. And where other students had access to, they're working together.
Henderson suffered from what you would call social isolation. He's in class. None of his classmates would really talk with him. During that time, University of Michigan was big on study partners. Henderson did not have any study partners during that period. So one of his professors noted that when they graduated, Henderson had a proficiency with mechanical engineering and also architectural design. It was better than all of the other students because he had to do all of his work without help. That did lead to him having a proficiency, especially in steel design, that would benefit him later when he took a position with the Canadian Bridge Company across the Detroit River.
He had difficulty finding work in Detroit area, and he happened to run into a fellow graduate from the university. I guess he graduated a year before my grandfather. Turns out that my grandfather sought work there with them.
The only position they had available for a black person was as a janitor.
With all that education?
With all of the education that he had. Henderson ended up taking a position in the stock department at the Canadian Bridge Company right across the Detroit River. But he ended up being promoted over the years until he became an actual structural design engineer right at the point that the company won the contract for basically designing the steel portion of the bridge, which Henderson played a role in overseeing the construction of the steel beams, etc., for the actual bridge.
If you look back at some of the history and the documentation of the work that my great-grandfather did on the bridge and tunnel, a lot of it does not share his name, meaning they don't give him a lot of credit for the work that he did.
He's a person that if you were to go to the school system, if you were to look for him within the textbook, I doubt you would find him. If you were to survey teachers, administrators, and we're talking about people who may actually study black history, that's not a name that would come up.
Mr. Cornelius Henderson, engineer, laid out the roads at Detroit Memorial Park along with his son, C.L. Henderson, Jr. He also was instrumental in the construction or engineering of the Ambassador Bridge and the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel.
I decided that I want to do something on Cornelius Henderson for students, elementary grade students, where they have an opportunity to research his life while also doing something of a STEM type of activity. So we decided that we would have the students research his life and create an actual historical exhibit while also doing a bridge building competition where the students would actually create a bridge using whatever materials they wanted. It could be wood, steel, straws, and it really turned into a huge event school-wide. From there, it just kind of snowballed into a full-fledged exhibit, and that exhibition on Henderson life ended up being on display here at the University of Michigan Detroit Center, Charles Wright Museum, and also at the Detroit Historical Museum.
Just the accomplishment just to get through, let alone find a career and then do what he did, is just amazing to me.